Well, last time I started to talk about apologetics, about certain things, why we believe that Christianity is true. And today I want to continue that conversation. And Stacy brought up a good point last Wednesday, that it's not only about what you say, it's not only about the substance and all of the arguments and all of the reasons that you can give to a person to make them at least consider the possibility of the truth of the Christian God. But it's also about the communication, the how we do it. And today I want to accomplish both of those things, be a little ambitious, and to tell you one of the whats and one of the hows on Christian apologetics. So last time we talked about all of the problems that arise in today's culture, the increasing secularism, the eradication of concepts of right and wrong, placing the final authority on the person, which leads to terrible, terrible consequences. And today we will get into the meat of it, the substance, the what, and the how. I'm going to start with the what, which might be a little, which might be not the right order, but we'll get to the how as well. And I wanted to frame today's discussion in a very practical way. So I want you to think about certain questions that you have faced, maybe on the outreaches that we did in Novi Sad or in other places. What common objections have you heard to the existence of God? And I would like to invite you to participate as well. Maybe you have something on your mind, like science has disproven God or something else. Well, the what that I prepared today can answer both of your guys' objections that you raised, the why you're God and the why he's so removed. Although the last point might be to the lesser extent. So today we begin with that first group of arguments that try to answer the question why anything exists at all. Why are we here? What is the universe? Where did it come from? And the argument for God's existence, specifically for the Christian God, goes by two questions. You can lead a person, you can point them to our God in just two questions. Question number one, is the universe eternal or not eternal? Did the universe exist forever, or did it have a beginning? These are two options. Really, you can't have a third one outside of those. It's either eternal or it's not eternal. It started to exist some time ago. And even atheists, when they are confronted with that question, they would naturally, I think, answer it. If they are not trying to weasel out of it, and they will confirm that the universe has in fact started to exist at some point in time. This is where the evidence leads, the Big Bang Theory, the data from the space tools that we have that observe space. It does point to the fact that the universe had a beginning. So the next question to answer would be, is the universe caused or uncaused?
Accidental or?
No, well, accident implies some sort of a cause for that accident. Something moved it into existence. And I can't even imagine how would someone reply it is uncaused? Well, how did it happen then? Did it just pop into existence? Like, imagine a coffee just popping into existence on your table whenever you want something. That would be kind of absurd. Yes, Michael asked if we can truly separate God and creation in the sense that since God supports creation, I think in Hebrews it says that Jesus Christ upholds the universe, right?
By him all things consist.
Yes, so can we really say that the universe is not eternal if God sustains it? And God is eternal. So I think we do separate those things because I think the Bible teaches that we are separate from God. He does uphold us. He does sustain the universe by his power, the laws of nature, the laws of logic, our breath, our existence. It is supported by God, but it's not necessarily, it's not a necessary thing that this should happen. He can stop doing that, and he would continue to exist, and we would not. So those are two different things, creation and God. The part of my argument that kind of addresses that goes a little, we meet it a little further. So once again, we established that the universe is not eternal. It started to exist at some point. And we understand that the universe had a cause. It didn't just spontaneously appear out of nothing. Subway tickets, bank cards, phones, coffee does not just appear into existence. Why should we give universe that leeway that it can appear out of nothing, uncaused? We don't. So once we have established that it had a beginning, that it had a cause, we ask the next question: what kind of a cause can that be? And there are several criteria that has to be in place in order to find that cause. First of all, the cause of the universe has to be timeless. It has to exist outside of time, right? The universe is the beginning of time, of matter, and of space. So whatever was before that has to be somehow timeless, spaceless, and immaterial. When you think of a movie, it has a certain timeline, a certain order of events that happens. It has frames, things move forward in time, but the director is outside of that time frame. He does not exist within that movie. So from a movie perspective, the director would be timeless, would not exist in that timeline. It also has to be spaceless, because it's kind of hard to imagine something that does not occupy space. But actually, you can think of a mind. Yes, our minds, they do not occupy space necessarily. Our memories, our cognitive faculties, our thoughts, they do not occupy space. They are in sort of a weird realm of the mind. And it cannot be material. It cannot be made out of matter, because, once again, the universe is the beginning of matter. This is pretty straightforward. We've established that the universe is not eternal, that the universe is caused. We have set certain criteria for that cause. It's not of time, it's not of space, it's not of matter. But it's also, it must be personal, and that's where we really narrow down those options in regards to religions. Because fire does not burn forever. It had an agent that set it up into existence, that set it on fire. The same thing with the universe. We've established that the cause is not in time, is not in space, is not material, but it could have been, existing without the universe. That's what Mikhail was asking about. God could have continued to just be outside of those human terms like time, space, and matter. but yet there was a change introduced. Something changed, something came into existence. And we talked about numbers last time, that numbers are sort of, in a sense, like God, but numbers cannot cause something, cannot move something into existence, cannot introduce change. Only someone with a will, someone with an agency can do that, someone with a personhood. And that really narrows down the options to basically the monotheistic religions, Judaism, Christianity, perhaps Islam, but Islam has other problems. So that's the argument that can point us to the existence of the Christian God. Maybe not prove it consistently, but with other evidence to support it, can at least make a great cumulative case. Again, those two questions is eternal or not eternal, the universe, caused or uncaused. And then we set up the criteria for those causes. And someone might say, well, it's kind of the God of the gaps approach. We don't understand what caused the universe. We don't understand why it came into existence. So we do a hand gesture and tell, oh, it's God. God must have done it. Well, not exactly. We have seen those criteria that must be met in order for something to cause the universe. And those criteria very well describe God very well. That's not a gap. That's just a wall that we face. Not necessarily something that we attribute to God because we don't know it. It's what it must be God, because nothing else can do the same thing. And moving on to the second part of the lesson that I had in mind today, the how. We talked about the substance, the what we can present as a reason for us to believe in God. And now I wanted to move on to the how, to the communication part of it, as Stacy so graciously suggested last time. When you think about AI, I'm sure each of us has utilized it before, and while it is super useful, it still lacks something. It is still not as smart as us, hopefully. And one of the reasons for that is because human communication relies on a lot of presuppositions, assumptions that we bring to the table. Whenever we talk to each other, we already come into the conversation with a lot of information about reality. Like if I ask Lubisha, did you feed your parrots today?
I said no, they were not good.
Right. In order for me to even ask that question, I need to know that Lubisha has parrots. Parrots require food. That the concept of today exists. So there is time. There is time different than today. And all other assumptions that I cannot even parse from that statement. But there is so much knowledge that already comes into that simple question, did you feed your parrots today? So whenever we're faced with objections to Christianity, to the faith, it is important that we understand where the person is coming from. We try to uncover those assumptions. When they say science has disproven God, when they say, every religion is so different or so similar, so none of them must be true. Why God is removed. People are bringing so much knowledge into those questions. People are bringing so much positions into those questions, into those objections, that we need to be able to uncover them. And a great way to do that is to ask questions. First of all, it puts the burden or the necessity to explain themselves on them. You don't have to worry about all those, cosmological, philosophical things. You put the ball in their court. So they have to now wrestle with it. Then it clarifies their position. It becomes more clearer. It becomes more clear for you to see where their thinking has gone wrong. Imagine a doctor. You're a doctor. A patient comes into the room with a red nose, and without even looking, you start prescribing a anti-cold medication. Well, maybe they have just colored their nose with a marker. Who knows? Those things require different medication, I think. So when you ask questions, it helps you to uncover those root causes, whether it's a mental thing or a cold. It's also a more personal way to interact with people. You don't start lecturing them on cosmology and philosophy. You invite them to share their opinion, and that is much less controversial. It allows people to open up, and it's when people are opened up when they can change their opinions, not when they're angry. So I try to use the question that goes something along the lines of, what do you mean by that? So how did science disprove God? What do you mean by a sect? I was trying to ask that question when we were in Nish, and we faced mental persecution, as Matthew put it, in the leadership class. I tried to get the person to clarify what they mean by a sect. I tried to ask what's the difference between a sect and orthodoxy. It didn't go too far, but at least it, if it doesn't clarify the person's position, it clarifies whether they are ready to even dialogue with you on this topic, and that's also helpful. So a first approach would be a variation of the question, what do you mean by that? Can you clarify that? Something along those lines. This provides you the needed clarity for you to act. You see the person's position, you see their posture, and you can see what solution you can apply, whether it's anti-cold medication or a special house. So, yeah, sometimes people don't answer because all they have is cliches, slogans, secta, science has disproven God, all of those things. You can try and follow up and ask, how does that work? What do you mean by that? Can you clarify that? But again, sometimes people hide behind those slogans where there's actually no substance to it. And those could be the moments to fill that void with your substance, with arguments like the one we discussed today. But they have to be open to dialogue and to listen and to actually understand what substance you're trying to bring to the table. I think that's it for